Hello, my name is Michael Roble, and I have spent 30 years in the industry working for every business unit from municipal to steel mills to oil and gas. And these videos are my way to show people of various levels of experience how to use Revit, and even toss in lessons learned from projects over the years. With that said, let's get to it. In this video, I'm going to break down Revit parameters, including the difference between type and instance parameters. And I'll walk you through when and how to use shared parameters, project parameters, and also global parameters. In order to create a parameter, you have to go to the Create tab, you go to the Properties panel, and then there's a button here for Family Types. And once you click on that button, it takes you into the Family Types dialog box where you have options down here for creating parameters. And then over here is a list of the parameters that you have. So I want to create a new parameter. Click on the New button and it pops up with this dialog box. Now here's where you name it. Here's where you can specify which discipline it's for. Here you can select the data type. Now be cognizant here, because whatever you set this for, then once you complete your parameter, you cannot edit it. Like, you can't make it text and go, oh, I want that to be a length. You can't do it. You have to delete it and start over. What you can do though is you can rename it. You can toggle if it's a type or an instance after it's created, or you can change what group it's in your properties. Other than that, you can't change anything once you've completed it. So the difference between a type and an instance parameter can be thought of as like models. Like if you want to purchase some equipment and they say this model here gives you, in this case here, like I made a conveyor belt here. So let's say this model comes as 18 inches wide, and you could buy various models of different widths. And each one of those models has a length, has lengths that you can change on an instance basis. So what that means is you can make types that the 18-inch width is a type parameter, which is associated to the type. So you can copy this around. As long as it's that type, it'll always be 18 inches wide. If you want to make a new type, you can duplicate the type, make it 24 inches wide, change that parameter to 24 inches. Now anytime you copy that one, it'll be 24 inches. And then you could, because the length will be an instance parameter, you can change the length of them on an instance by instance basis. I'll demonstrate that here very shortly. So I'm going to create a new parameter called tag number. And now the tag number needs to be an instance, because I need to be able to have a unique number for every item regardless of what type it is on my project. So I'm going to set it for instance. Now, even though it says number up here, it needs to be text, because you need to be able to type in what it is. If it was a number, that's something you would use for like formulas or something along those lines. So we're going to group it. You can group it under text if you want, or you could do like what I typically do for something like that. I'll put it under identity data. Now, like I said, you can always change where it's grouped. That's not a big deal. And now I'm going to hit OK. Now see, my identity data is collapsed, so I'm going to expand it and you can see it right here. And you can tell what is an instance parameter versus a type parameter based on the word default here. If it says default, that's an instance parameter. If it doesn't have that, it means it's a type parameter. So now I am going to place that in here. So I have an 18-inch conveyor belt, right? Now if you click on the family, you could see where the instance parameter allows me to change this on the fly. I can make this thing longer, I can make it shorter, but I do not have the ability to make it wider unless I go into edit type and I can make it 18-inch. So what I got is I got an 18-inch wide conveyor belt and it's set for 18 inches. So anywhere I have this, I can take this and I could copy this 2 more times. I can make this one longer. I can make this one in the middle. I can control them on an instance basis. Now, if we want to change this one here to an 18-inch wide conveyor, or to a 24-inch wide conveyor belt, I could change that. If I go into my edit properties, I've changed that width to 2 feet. The nice part about leveraging the types is if I want to go to here and say right click, select all instances, an entire project, it'll ignore that 24. If I want to grab this one, right click, select all instances, an entire project, it'll ignore the 18s. So you have some control here to be able to select them and change them. You could rely on instance parameters everywhere, but you lose a lot of control. If something that really should be a type parameter is set to an instance and needs changed globally, you'll end up having to track down every single instance just to update the one value in all of them. By using types correctly, you can update that value once and it will apply everywhere, and you can take advantage of the select all instances to quickly grab all elements of that type in a view or across the entire project. But if you were to rely on the types or the instance parameters, now what's happening is you can make this any width you want, and you could copy these. If you grab this, you can go and make the width 18-inch. You can go to this one here and you can make it 2 feet. And if you try to grab all the 18 inches and you say select all instances in entire project, it doesn't know the difference. So you don't have that ability. Plus, you also run into an inherent ability of people wanting to just make this whatever width they want, whether you can actually purchase this equipment or not. So by making the types, you can control what gets put into your models. So I took my conveyor belts and I recategorized them to be mechanical equipment. So now what I need to do is I need to create a mechanical equipment tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to File, and I go down to New, and I click the fly out, and I go to Family, and I want to go to Annotations. And if I go down through here, I won't see any mechanical equipment tags, and that's fine. You can go with a generic tag, and then once you're in here, we'll get rid of that. Once you're in here, you can go up to the family category and parameters, and you can then recategorize it as mechanical equipment. So now what will happen is if I go up to create, I can click on label, and once I put a label in here, this label will read parameters that are in this family or in this tag. So what's happening is it's looking at all the parameters that come from a mechanical equipment family from the template out of the box. It does not have project specific or company specific parameters. You have to add those. So what's going to happen is I want to add my tag number, right? So I want to click on New, and it's asking for a shared parameter. You cannot tag anything unless you have the same shared parameter in your family and in your tag. And as you remember, I did not use a shared parameter on my family, and I did that on purpose. I'll show you how you can correct that. You go to Select, and now it's going to browse to wherever you have a shared parameter file on your network or wherever. So now what's happening is I'm going to go down here to Identification, and here is a shared parameter I created called tag number. Exact same name, same case sensitive, everything. Everything's the same. But when it reaches into this shared parameter, it actually has a GUID number, GUID, which stands for Globally Unique Identification Number. That's what allows the tag and the family to compare apples to apples. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and now it's going to bring it into my project, or bring it into my tag, and we're going to go to here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra label and for the width and the length. So I want to go Select, and I want to go Width, and I'm going to say OK. I want to add another one. I'm going to select, and I'm going to say length, and say OK, and hit OK. Now they're all in here. So what I want to do is I want to do a tag number first. I want to put that on one line, and I want to put the width and the length on another line. So I'm going to hit break. Well, I can't do break until I add the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add width, and then I'm going to go to length. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a break. What this does is this will put the tag number on the first line, and these will be on the next line. What I want to do is I want to put a little X in here. Let's put a lowercase x in there. And then we'll hit OK. So now you've got this tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and place it here. You can adjust it however you want. You can make them left justified, center justified, whatever you need to do for your situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save as, save it somewhere and give it a name. So I saved it as mech tag, and now I'm going to load into project and close. Now what's going to happen is if I go to annotate and I say tag by category, it's going to go here, and as you can see, it's not reading any of my information. So to correct this, if you were to select your conveyor belt and you were to hit edit family, and now if you go back up to the family types, and you can see all your parameters. Now if you know these are not, and you could tell they're not, if you go to edit them, they're coming from here, not from here. If this is clicked, that means it's coming from the shared parameter, which it's not in this case. So what I'm going to do is we're going to say shared parameter, select, and I'm going to pick length. And now it's coming from the shared parameter. I go to the width. I want to hit edit. I'm going to say shared parameter, select, and I'm going to say width. And then we'll say OK. Go to the tag number, edit, shared parameter, select. We're going to go to identification data, tag number, hit OK, and hit OK, and hit OK. Now I'm going to hit load into project and close. Yes, I want to save it. Yes, I want to overwrite it. I want to overwrite my parameters. And now we have our information. The only downside is we never did apply a tag number for these. So if I want to say CNV-001, let's make that all caps, CNV-001, it puts that number in here. So now if I was to, so Control C, we can go to here, Control V, make that a 2, Control V, make that a 3. So now if I was to go tag by category, and we'll click on here and here. And if you change your width or length, you can see it changes here. Not to mention you could also change it from here if you wanted to. You can make that an even 17 feet, and you can also manipulate the length of it as well. Project parameters are a way to send a parameter to every family in your project of a certain category. And the alternative is that you have to put that parameter into every one of your families in your library, and then make sure the ones that are in your template by default need to be updated. But the easier path is just to add it as a project parameter. In this case here, if you were to look at this chiller right here, you get this list of parameters. If you click on this sand filter, you only get a couple of parameters. If you click on this pump, you only get a couple of parameters. So how do you do something where you want to filter, or you want to control, or you want to add specific information to something? Like, for instance, we did a tag number, right? So what we can do is we can apply that tag number to all of these. So what you would do is you would go up to Manage, and you would go to Project Parameters. And now what you can do is you can hit add new. You could say shared parameter, select, and you can go to identification and you can hit tag number. You can hit OK. And then I'll go down and I will assign them to all mechanical equipment. So now when I click OK, now if you click on this, you now have a tag number here that you can use. And if you go to this one, you've got a tag number. This one here, you've got a tag number. They didn't need to be a shared parameter unless you're planning on tagging with it. But if you're just scheduling, you could just use a parameter right there. You can create the parameter right there. It doesn't have to be shared. But if you've already got it in your shared parameters, you might as well use it. As for global parameters, they're not used as much, but you have to be very strategic. And there's very good uses for them. In this case here, this is a north arrow, just a really generic north arrow I slapped together. And some people just do a rotation. They'll go up here and click on the rotate tool and rotate it 15 degrees or whatever. Or what you can do in this way, this family was built, it has a rotation to it. So I type that in and it rotates. So what could happen here is if you have a bunch of these on a bunch of different sheets, right? What you can do is you can click on here and you can create a global parameter, which I already did, and you can assign that. Now what you can do is you can say select all instances and entire project, go up here and apply the same one, and you see they all line up. So if you go to manage and then go to global parameters and you change this to 15 degrees, they'll all rotate the same way. And at some point someone tells you that the angle is wrong, it's really 20, well then you can just go to global parameters. You can say 20 degrees and they'll all adjust. So if you go up here under global parameters and you want to hit a new one, you have the same abilities as you do for any other parameter. You can make it do anything you want. You can make it for its text, it's an angle, it's an area, distance, length, material, whatever, right? So what we want to do is we want to add one here. We'll say new, and I'm going to call it color code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it text, and I want to group it under graphics, and I want to hit OK. So what I want to do is I'm going to say green. Because what I did here is I created a filter. And if you dig into the filter, what it does is it looks for structural framing that the color parameter equals green. So what I'm going to do, if you grab, I want to grab this one and this one here, and if I go to this right here, you can see where I can actually either type in this information and it color codes it, or I can point to this to do the same thing. I can click here, go here, I can hit that, and it'll color code them. You could also do it with a yes/no parameter. There's all kinds of ways around this. Those are some options for global parameters. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure to like and subscribe. There will be a lot more videos coming.